Today I'm going to tell you how Citibank, Chase, and Credit Union help us test. It's a shocking statement because they didn't sponsor us. They didn't offer us any money. There is different way on how common experience that people like you, very bright and talented people, bring with them every day to work. And it's always been unused. That's what I found. Never been used to the full potential of the experience that you and I and everybody who is in technology world can offer to the project that desperately needs a user input. And I will start with the context. This is the challenge that I was faced in a team that I brought in as a single tester. My company is very ambitious, small company in financial world. They call it Silicon Valley meets the Wall Street, and it's true in a way that we are very small, and we're really looking at the technology professionals to help us innovate technology ways to beat the Wall Street kind of old dynamic, bring some disruptive ways. And for the last 10 years, that's exactly what we did. The company is really small. It's 300 plus employees, half of them in technology. And the hiring goal is to hire people who are, have this game-changing mentality. They do not accept the status quo. So you have to imagine a company, 300 plus people, all talented, all have great ideas. Now, the challenge is that we adopted the agile process. Together with that, the team now formed around the product. And the big challenge with that is the teams are small. They're usually 7, 8 people. It's multi-specialist, meaning that there is a couple of developers, a product owner, a designer, usually a designer, a business analyst, a tester or two. Within that context, the challenge that we had was we had to create an application to beat the competition, and we had no exposure in the competition. We, in financial world, it's very obscure. Nobody's going to share with you how the other competition looks like, what they, how they're winning their, their clients. And basically, the product was, the main goal of the product was go beat the competition, but we don't know how. So we bet on a differentiating factor, a user experience. Now you have to imagine, it's really easy to talk about user experience when you have some open source, social media, anything that everybody, like millions of people, use. But the challenge is that in a financial world, nobody's going to show you the product that is your competitor. So really, we've been betting on this user experience as something. The product came to us, the business came to us and say, we have to develop a few months a kick-ass product. That's it. That basically was it. Now, as an only tester, I definitely can test a lot of bugs. And I can test the, if the software really attends to specifications, or is there a bugs in, there's calculations or some other things that specifications are. But when you have a challenge like a user experience, I really couldn't do it by myself. Even if I go to developer and say, hey, look, something is not looking good to me, and they would say, well, that's your opinion. So the real challenge was that I cannot do it by myself. Another challenge was that the client business workflows is so obscure. I don't really understand that business. I don't know anything about it. So when if I would talk to the business owner who knows that business, right? Why would they believe me? If I say, well, something doesn't look right to me, seems that I don't have much credibility to talk about this, like I think that this business has to run this way, right? But if you remember, 300 people hired because to the company who has a game-changing mentality. I was thinking how to use that. And this is what I come up with. What I'm going to tell you right now is my own experience, which was a successful one. I don't have always successful experience, but this is the one that I want to share with you. We had a situation where the business was asked to give a demo of the product. And to me, that was a great opportunity to really engage the company's talent into brainstorming some new ideas besides looking at the demo, but brainstorm some new ideas of how we can really improve this user experience and get some feedback also. And what I was looking for is that a demo is not really interactive. It's boring. So usually when people are looking at our product, and as I said, it's financial, it's very obscure business scenarios. If everybody knows what the soft dollar is. Anybody? One. Okay. But how many people in this room use online banking? All right. So if I told you that we're creating a product for asset manager to manage their money through paying some, vendor in a specific who meet the specific criteria. Really? Any feedback? How can you improve that? Any ideas? Probably not. What if I tell you if you have a business, you have an account, and you can use this money from this account to pay your bills and utilities? Would it look more appealing to you? Did you ever pay your bills and utilities through online banking? Yes. Okay. I created a workshop where we open it up to participants throughout the company. And my goal was to discover those ideas that really would help us with this user experience. So the differentiating factor here was the analogy. As I said before, if really you have no idea of the obscure business workflow and those specific terms, you probably would not be ready to to contribute your ideas on how to improve the product, right? You would probably feel a little bit uncertain. You don't want to look stupid, maybe. Maybe you don't know what you're talking about and they're going to say something. So my first step was the analogy. Is what we did is we asked users, as I'm asking you, anybody use online banking? What we found is different people use different banking. Some use Citibank, some use Chase, some credit union too. Some never use it. So we put those people in the groups and we asked them to brainstorm about what they like best and worst about online experience. And then everybody was engaged. People start talking. Oh, I really like this. I don't like that. Then we asked it, why would you use it and when you don't use? So already people start warming up because they talk about their own experience. The next step, what we did, we gave them the application. That was a couple of months before it went to production. So we already have a design. It might have a couple of bugs, which was okay. But we gave them to the people and we gave them a few tasks. And we time box them. And we say, do this. We break the people into the small teams, they put them in front of the computers. We gave them the mouse, and they had to complete the tasks. Now, it was a little bit of a challenge, so everybody was it was a game. Who feels, who would finish first all those tasks? It was kind of a quiz. While they've been doing it, the team members were around observing how people use this application. And we didn't tell them why they're doing it, what they're doing. The idea was that, hey, help us improve and learn this new product as we go. So we saw a lot of engaged people kind of banging out this application, clicking through stuff, searching through it, actually doing exploratory testing without them knowing it. And not everybody was tester there. We got people from just all the departments. Then we asked them, so how do you feel? What's your first impression about that? And we got very interesting feedback, which we would never hear if we didn't start them with some, really everyday analogy first. And then we showed them the demo. Only then we showed them the demo, and we showed them what is really the objective of this product. And they heard the sales pitch, and they heard how sales are going to sell this product. And now came the interesting part. There probably was a disconnect between how the team perceives what they did and how everybody else is telling them what it is. And then the next step, we asked people to go back to groups and talk about how you improve the experience. What we got from there was incredible feedback. It was incredible. We got so many ideas because people already kind of thinking about their everyday experience, and it's easy for them to connect, with that application that they probably would never know what it is, soft dollar, commission, whatever, to their experience. So we got them to brainstorm and help us. We actually got our company's talent to really help us improve the experience of our product. It was a 45-minute session. Everybody who participated, they feel so great about it, and I'll tell you why. Participants felt good because they could contribute their ideas. It was not just a learning session for them, but also they could, help out. They could provide their contributions, and they feel part of the success. That was another thing. Every time we talk with people who were in this focus group, they now share the success. This is how they feel. Oh, I help you. Why would it be good for the team members? There is a lot of proof of concept that the team claimed, and if you remember, the team is small, right? 8 people. They claimed that they did something. Now, this is really a feedback of, did really, the usability that you think is great, was it really great? You could see how people experience this application, and there was some obvious things that I could not really advocate for. But when you see that 20, 40 people hitting the same issue over and over again, then it became a great, I got, how to say it, it really helped me out to advocate some of the usability issues. One of the things that business told me after that, they came to me and said, Anna, wow, we heard some ideas we would never think before. It's really going to help them sell it. Why is it good for the tester? As I said about advocacy, and also what you get in there is really sometimes, this is the point number 3 is really for myself, because one tester in a group, sometimes you don't really get the visibility that you deserve. Nobody knows how big is your application, how maybe complex it is. You probably use some methods that other team would be benefiting from, but one of the challenge was the agile testing. is when you have these groups, they stop speaking to each other. You really cannot easily share experience. This is what I found. I don't know, maybe it's different for you guys. This is what I found. It's really not easy to share. Like, hey, look, I did this because, look, we had this context and this is what I did. That it was a great exposure for me too. And of course, the bug advocacy. So sometimes when you have a usability bug that doesn't feel right to you, I assume you all testers here, where did you? There was one point of time that somebody hit that, right? Everybody did? Nobody did? Can you raise a hand who did? Something doesn't feel right to you. Yes? Yes. Having the crowd testing behind you really prove your point, because sometimes you cannot advocate for this bug. And it goes into production and it feels awkward and there is nothing you could do about it. This is a great way to get, some assistance with that. That was one workshop we did. It was such a great success that we did 2 more workshops because a lot of people in the company, they wanted to participate. They heard so many great things. They wanted to participate again. And when I looked at the first time we ran this workshop, I found that there is certain things that if you overdo, then it's not going to work out. So the main point about this workshop that everybody has to feel engaged. In order for people to feel engaged, then you have to create a really small groups. For example, in front of a computer, do not put more than 2-3 people because somebody's going to phase out easily. You don't want that. You want everybody to be like always feeling part of the game and part of like idea brainstorming, something like that. It's coincidentally that, or not, that putting 2 people in front of a computer, giving them a task, actually, and time boxing them and giving them some goals, called exploratory testing. That's exactly what those people were doing without knowing what they've been doing. We, in the teams, we observed them, and it was, we collected some notes that those people didn't even know that we do. The focus group size ideal is 10-15 participants per workshop. And why is that? As I said, everybody has to feel engaged. If you have like 40 people, somebody's gonna phase out, and it's not the dynamic of the room should be always, there on the top, because otherwise somebody's gonna phase out. They don't feel like participating. It was great for the team members. As I said, they should be silent. They should not explain to people how to use that product because that defeats the purpose. And there was a lot of feedback collected. Actually, we had like, I don't know if you know what the backlog items is. If whoever knows Agile, we created about 20 from the 3 focus group that we had. The team actually went back and we looked at the ideas, and there was a lot of improvements that were not really obvious before, but it gave back to the team a lot of new ideas. My 10 minutes probably is up in open season.
Perfect. I was just about to tell you you've got 30 seconds. Questions?
You can ask me the question about the picture.
Where is that from?
This napkin started our company. Our CEO met with another person, and this is how they brainstormed the concept of the company. And coincidence or not, but they also use analogy. The Napster was very popular at this time. It was an analogy of Napster in the financial world. And that's how it started. Very successful company, 10 years later.
Anyone else? Anything else? That's all right.
Have you been able to introduce this workshop study to other groups?
Not yet. I'm assuming when I come back and everybody heard that I'm doing this presentation, I'm probably gonna do more of those.
Did you face any challenges introducing these types of concepts?
Yes. The challenge was that it's really hard to tell somebody else how to do things or come up with the idea and being heard when you don't belong to the team. That was the challenge. The team was so isolated, they didn't want to hear anything. So I kind of sneaked that on the team, being honest with you. It was expected to be a demo. I just turned it into that.
So you mentioned the observer had to be silent. How did that go over?
It went over fine. Even our most stubborn developer, the head developer, he was shocked. He loved it so much. You know, his eyes lights up. And he's like, oh, I know what to do now. I know. I'm doing this, this, and this. So, yeah. It really helped because we had to stop ourselves from, like, guiding people how to do it because that was really a challenge because we know the software so well. And when they hit that task and we have to, like, do this and... Because they talking out loud, you know. You imagine groups of 2 or 3. Oh, look, how we find that. Look, we're looking for this button, and we had to do this. But it was great. It was great. We found there was one thing that we found, payments button, very easy. Actually, the essence of your workflow in this application. People were looking for 5 minutes. It was unacceptable. But for the people who get used to this application, they place this payment button, they know where to look for it. It was a shock, really was. So there was a lot of discoveries during the process.
Part of your focus group, were they external customers as well, or was it just internal?
It was not even customers. We invited everybody from the company who wanted to learn this new product. And people naturally want to learn. It's interesting, you know, what are you doing? We're in the same company. What are you doing? Let's share. They didn't know what they coming into.
Did your team have a lot of discussion when it came out, developers saying that's not really a bug, if just because a user couldn't do something that we thought they could?
Yes. Not just developers, well, designers too. Designers are sometimes very protective of how they create this new and unusual, new ways of doing stuff. Sometimes you want to go back to basic. If you use an online banking and you pay your bills in a certain way, you don't want to come up with some crazy new way of doing it. It's your everyday thing. So sometimes designers have to be kept on earth. It was a challenging thing too. It really was.
With that, we are at time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John.